guys, welcome back to Real Housewives Recaps. Today I'm covering Real Housewives of Miami Season 1, Episode 6. I did not remember that they only had 6 episodes in the first season and no reunion. I'm so bummed. But that's okay, we're going to keep going. I'm really enjoying covering Miami, so let's stay with it. I'll jump right into Season 2 soon, so let's get into this episode. Hey guys, I just want to take a second and say if you're enjoying this show, please check out my Patreon. Go to patreon.com, search Real Housewives Recaps, or check the comments below and I'll put a link. And for $1 a week, you can support my show and get 4 bonus episodes per month. I'm covering Scary Island, like the greatest season of Real Housewives of New York. So check it out. Thanks so much. So the episode starts off at Marisol's house. Mama Elsa has come over to see Marisol's wedding pictures. Remember, it was kind of a whirlwind. They did it without any family there, so she's showing her the picture. And Mom says, "You look beautiful." And Marisol says, no, I'm sorry. Elsa says, "She looks like royalty, and Philippe looks like a security guard guarding your mink." So Elsa wants her to have children. She says she just doesn't have the time. Apparently Philippe has been bringing it up, and she says she's never been able to have a child, so she just doesn't know if they'll be able to do that. So then we go over to Alexia. She's with Peter. Peter, her oldest son, is trying to be a model. He's in a magazine, and she explains he used to be super into sports, but he hurt himself. He had to have surgery, and after he couldn't play, she's trying to get him into modeling to give him a purpose, to give him direction. And says that she's not there to make things easier for Peter. I'm here to support him and guide him, but ultimately it is up to him. And I gotta say, I really like Alexia. I think she's a great mom, and I like how she is here. I mean, I think that's a pretty cool way to look at things. She's there to support him and guide him, but it's up to him to get things done. So Larsa is having a shopping party. She's invited everybody, and it's Cristy is saying Lea Black is from Texas. She's not from Miami. So obviously Cristy is holding this huge grudge since Leah invoiced her over the tickets. I'm sorry, I would too. That's so shitty. She showed up, she didn't pay. I mean, we've talked about it a lot. And then when she finally paid, she only paid for one extra person, not the 2 that she brought. Pretty shitty. What if you were that extra friend and you saw this and you're like, and she's saying, "Oh, this friend didn't come with me." That's pretty shitty. Okay, so Leah is saying, being in a room with Cristy is like being in a room with anybody else. I'm not going to pick a fight. I'm always going to take the high road. I'm sorry she got upset about getting an invoice. And I gotta say, I think Leah handles it like a champ. I mean, it's hard not to hold a grudge when somebody acts shitty to you, so good for her. Larsa tells Adriana that she effed up her lunch, and Adriana's like, "I didn't do anything." And and she ends up saying, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to spoil your lunch. I was trying to tell Cristy, don't feel personal about getting invoiced." And Larsa's saying, "Well, why didn't you say it like that?" And Adriana says, "You didn't give me the chance." Okay, if you want to split hairs here, I actually love what Adriana did, and I get why she did it. She's standing up for Leah, but yeah, she probably should have pulled her to the side and talked to her about it. Anyway, so Larsa's not happy. Anyway, so Adriana comes out modeling this bathing suit, and Cristy's like, of course she had to try it on and model. So there's definitely a rivalry between Cristy and Adriana in terms of this part. Because, as you remember, Cristy was just all about modeling in the last episode. Now she's judging Adriana for doing the exact same thing. I just can't with Cristy. She and Larsa both. And now this friend here. Oh, this friend was awful. Just looking for camera time. Desperately wanted to be on camera. They have her on twice this episode, and I don't know why. Because, so she just seems to be thirsty to be on TV. Adriana says, "Cristy has not spoken to me all night, and now after my bathing suit strut, she definitely won't want to talk to me. She always says I'm so skinny, she doesn't want to stand next to me. She must be hating me now. Damn, I wish I had some of the self-confidence that Adriana has." Oh, gosh. So then it's Adriana and Frederic, and they go check in at Canyon Ranch. They decide to go for a getaway weekend. She has doubts about his intentions to marry her, so they just want this time away, and she wants to know that she's not wasting time with him. So they're playing around, they're painting each other with mud, and she tells him about her ex calling up, and it's very hard. She's explaining it's very hard for her to trust men. Her mom caught her dad with the housekeeper, and then, of course, you remember her first husband had a whole separate family on the side. She said, men will hurt you. They say they love you, but they'll abandon you. Well, Frederic ends up offering to adopt her son, and she says that makes her want to marry him. She paints a ring on her finger and says, when do I get that? And he says, of course, my love. You choose a date. So it sounds like they're both on board. So it is interesting because, I know we know how this ends up with Marisol and Philippe, but it's interesting that just after getting married, you see these cracks. She seems pissed with him because he keeps ignoring her and playing with his BlackBerry. Remember those days when BlackBerries were so big? Okay. She says she got him one because she didn't want to be the only one on her phone all the time, so she got him one. She created a monster. She wants to talk to Philippe about the cooking lesson, so it's her turn to host one. She originally thinks she wants to have it in her house and wants to cook with him, and then she realizes, oh no, we need to have a big event space so they can actually do a really nice table. And she said he's an excellent cook, and she wants to do a twist where he cooks. So then we go over to Adriana and Frederic again. She says she has a surprise for him. And if you've watched any of my other recaps, you know how I feel about this. When they go into sexy mode on Real Housewives, it's so cringe. Karent did it, Foray, Tamara's done it, and we've seen them all do it. And it just makes me cringe so hard. So we go over to Marisol. She's an event planner. She loves to put together a beautiful table. It is beautiful. I love this setup. She says that Alexia was a worthy opponent. If you remember, she had this beautiful table by the water. So Marisol's setting everything up, and we see Mama Elsa arrive, and I just love her. I just think she's so much fun. You guys, this scene, it's so crazy. Okay, so Mama Elsa is there, and she's... Marisol's saying everybody loves her mom. She's a perfect party accessory. She's the life of the party. We see everybody arrive. Okay. Larsa. She says to Leah she hasn't met Marisol's mom. And they're talking. They decide they want to go find a card reader. It doesn't, whatever. Larsa walks up to Marisol and says, I haven't met your mom. I don't really believe in psychics. Okay. Just a bitchy thing to say, especially if you know somebody is into that sort of thing. You can feel however you want, but there's a way to handle it, and she just has no tact at all. And Marisol's like, well, she's not really psychic, she just gets vibes. So Marisol introduces them, and Larsa says, so you get vibes from people, right? So right off the bat, she's being aggressive. And Elsa says, well, it's more than that. And Larsa says, really, your mom is deep. She's scaring me. What can you tell me about me? So Larsa's favorite topic is to talk about herself. And she's prodding Elsa to talk about her. And finally, Elsa says, well, you're very worried about a man. And Larsa's like, well, no, maybe my kids. And Elsa says, you're worried about a man, but I can't talk to you right now because there's too many people. And Larsa just keeps poking her and saying, I'm going to have to get the scoop. I have 3 sons, lots of boys in my life. And Elsa says, this is not a boy, this is a man. Maybe some other time we can meet and I'll be able to tell you. Well, Larsa says to camera, whatever, she's just crazy. So again, Larsa started all this, and then she doesn't like what Elsa has to say. If you're going to ask for it, you got to be prepared for whatever she's going to say. And P.S., think about where Larsa is in her life right now. Mama Elsa wasn't wrong. So Marisol has embroidered jackets for everybody. It's these beautiful chef's coats. She and Philippe go to cook for everybody. Apparently, he's launched a new product using sous vide technology. So basically the food arrives frozen, and all you have to do is cut the bag and serve it. You can put the pouch right in the boiling water. You cut it open. There you go. And, of course, the women all scoff at this. Alexia said, I would never have people over and serve food from a bag. I do agree with Alexia there. I don't hate this idea if you're on the go, or if if you're just home by yourself or with your spouse and you just want to do this, cool. I don't know that I'd have a dinner party where we do this, because then it becomes like a sales pitch. Larsa is saying, I was expecting amazing Cuban food. Her husband has a new company where they serve frozen foods. I don't know. I've never really eaten frozen food. I wasn't raised on frozen food. I wouldn't know what to do with that. Cristy is saying, I think it was more about selling the product. Leah says, I guess it was a cooking class for people who are really busy, and if they don't like it, screw them. I do love Leah. I think that's pretty funny. And Larsa is saying, it would be great for somebody who's an amateur. Larsa's so full of herself. Okay. So then they have dinner, and Adriana kind of says over to Mama Elsa, I heard of your abilities. And again, Larsa just poking. She's saying, I don't believe in that. Like, bitch, who asked you? You don't have to believe. Elsa believes. That's all that matters. Elsa says, what do you not believe in? And Adriana says, can you say something about Leah? And Elsa has nothing but nice things to say about Leah. Like, she has no problems. And Larsa is doing this weird thing where it's got to be about her. And she's saying, Alexia is perfect. It's like she wants to say this so that way Alexia or somebody else will say, no, Larsa, you're perfect. And Alexia is like, well, no, I don't believe anybody's perfect. And Elsa even says Alexia's very mature emotionally. And with her, what you see is what you get. Again, it's all Larsa just fishing. Elsa tells Adriana that she needs a man, which was kind of funny. Cristy says, I believe some people are more intuitive than other people. So Cristy's willing to believe Larsa can't stand this. Elsa tells Larsa, you're very immature. And there's silence. And I think that is so spot on and hilarious and fantastic. Because we see it in the scene. She's acting like a little child. She keeps dragging the conversation back to her. And that's what Marisol keeps bringing up, is she's compromising the whole table. And Larsa is like, I wanted to be amused. The whole idea of psychic, I don't believe. Okay, you seem to believe it because you're freaking out when she calls you emotionally immature. And Leah says, she said you were emotionally immature. If you were emotionally mature, you'd believe in psychics. I thought that was pretty good. Larsa asks how many times she's been married, and Elsa says 4. And Larsa says, I've been married once. Okay, cool. I mean, what are we doing here? I just think that's so rude. Okay, so again, Marisol's getting pissed, rightly so, because Larsa's being so aggressive with her mom. And Larsa is saying, I'm giving you more energy than anyone at the table. And Elsa says, stop saying you don't believe in psychics. Maybe there are going to be energies coming to you that you'll believe. If you learn to listen, then you're going to get very smart. And I thought that was excellent. So then Elsa and Cristy start talking. She's saying, oh, that was funny. So they start talking in Spanish. Larsa gets mad because she wants to join in the conversation and make it all about her. And so Elsa turns to her and says, in 10 years, you might be poor. And Larsa is shocked. Again, I think Mama Elsa may have called it. Larsa's like, I grabbed life by the balls. And Larsa then, God, she's just doubling down on being a bitch. She says to camera, the audacity of her to talk about me, the most stable one here. Her daughters, how many marriages? None of these girls are perfect. I'm as stable as they get. Not so much anymore. So Alexia is saying, why take it so seriously? Why make a big thing out of this? And Larsa's pissed that Marisol's not saying anything to shut her mom up, but this is all Larsa's fault. She's the one poking at her. We do see an interesting scene where Marisol is talking. I'm sorry, not Marisol. God, I keep getting them confused. Mama Elsa is talking to Cristy, and they do talk about, so there were rumors that Cristy had cheated on her husband, and Cristy's like, no, that's not what happened. He didn't catch me. We were separated. And he came over to my house. There was a man there. He got jealous. He hit him, and it escalated into this huge story. Okay, so moving on. We go over to Larsa's house, and here's the friend with his camera obsessed. And they're both whining about how much bad luck it is finding nannies. And this quote-unquote friend is so hateful and so awful. She's saying, make a rule where there's no other languages in my house. It's your house. I'm just like, bitch, that is just a hateful thing to say. It's so gross. They're being so disgusting in front of the camera, and it just shows who they are. We go over to Marisol and Elsa. They're talking about the dinner party, and Elsa said it was so stupid. I don't want to talk about it anymore. And Marisol says, if Larsa didn't want to know, she shouldn't have kept going. You don't do that to an elderly woman, and I totally agree with Marisol. I just thought the whole thing was ridiculous. She goes on to say Larsa revealed herself to be an unsavory character. That's not who I want to associate with. So then it's Peter and Alexia at the modeling agency. It's Next Model Management, and basically they're interviewing him. She shows him the spread from the magazine that Peter is currently in, and they want to take pictures of him. So they ask him for some photos, and then they end up asking him to take off his shirt. He's very insecure about how he looks. And Alexia says it's great that they made him take off his shirt. He'll have to be ready in a moment's notice. This is all part of it. They make him walk around. They make him talk. And basically, the guy ends up telling him, look, you don't have too much of a personality, but your looks are good. So I'm going to give him a pass and say he's like 17 years old. Isn't that how boys act at that age? I mean, but they're just trying to show him, to have more of a personality, and they think he'll do well. They do want to sign him and start him out locally and see how it goes if he's able to travel, that sort of thing. So then we're back at Larsa's house. It's Larsa and Cristy hanging out with the kids, hanging out by the pool. Larsa's talking about Elsa because she just can't let it go. She started it, but she's just acting so hurt by all this, saying, you don't know me, lady. I'm not going to have this woman who is by no means perfect criticize me. Oh my God, you asked for it. Cristy says Marisol should have told her mom to shut her mouth. And I'm thinking, no, this is Larsa's fault. She kept asking for it. Larsa says she's going to have nightmares. And then she says, this is the worst line of the episode. If you listen carefully, she says, I don't like being around ugly people. Maybe she's talking about looks. Maybe she's talking about personality. I don't know. Either way, that's a horrible thing to say about somebody's mom, a castmate's mom. That's terrible. She says, I feel like she should focus on her daughter, work on what her daughter has. I'm not used to being attacked. Okay, Larsa. Okay, so then we go over to Marisol's house, and Philippe brings in a box for her that Leah sent over. And it turns out it's a white glove and hat luncheon and cooking class. So, okay, we already know what happened, so let's get into it. Leah is pranking them all. She's sent out this fancy invite with these white gloves, and she's telling everybody it's, she's implying that it's super nice, and they think it's going to be like a proper English high tea and hats and gloves and all this. Well, she gets them good. We go over to, let's see, Adriana and Frederic. They're going to take the boat out. She's saying that she feels like they're in a much better place. They're smooching all over each other, and he's taking photos of her, saying over and over how beautiful she is. She loves to pose for him. It's a whole thing. So they end up going to an island for a picnic, and they talk about marriage, and he says, I'm with you the rest of my life, my love. And she says she wants to make it official. She's excited about her future with Frederic and can see them together for a long time. Okay, let me just tell you guys. So I Googled it, and I was very surprised to hear they just split this year. We'll go on to see them, of course, in the next seasons, getting married and, all that. But they actually just split up in 2020. 2020 sucks. But I was just kind of surprised to see that. She acted like that they'd forever be in each other's lives, but that, that they've split. And also that her son's in college. How crazy, because he was so little. Okay, so they're, let's see, it's Alexia and Herman. They end up going out. They're celebrating because Peter just graduated. She's very proud of him. She's worried he wouldn't make it. Apparently after his shoulder injury, she says he was in the dark and he wasn't sure. And Alexia kept telling him he needs to, pull himself out of it. So she ends up, they talk about the modeling. She's saying he needs to fix his diet and hit the gym and be ready for modeling. But then Alexia wrote Peter a letter, and it was really sweet, and she was crying while reading it, and she just seems to really love her kids, and she wants him to know how proud she is of him, and it was just a sweet moment. Okay, so back over to Leah's. They have this stretch limo, right? And everybody's gotten dressed to the nines because they think it's this formal lunch with hats and teas hats and gloves, and they think it's this British tea or something like that. And most of them dressed up pretty nice, but she tricked them all. Basically, she is taking them to a farm, and it ends up really funny because, it's funny for me, but I'd be pissed if I were in the situation too, because they all wore high heels and they have to walk down gravel. But before we get to that, Larsa confronts Marisol and says, Elsa said all this negative stuff. And Marisol says she's looking to have a fight with me. I'm not going to give in to her. And, I don't know. Larsa is basically blaming Marisol, saying she could have stopped her mom. And Marisol says, you threw down the gauntlet, the challenge, tell me something about myself. And Larsa just isn't listening to her. So they just kind of end it. Nothing is really resolved. They get into the stretch limo, they're having champagne, and they're talking about, where they're headed, and they think it might be Vegas or something like that. Leah is laughing, saying, they thought we were going somewhere fabulous. I just have to laugh. Well, they end up going to an organic farm, and they're all in heels, like I say, trying to walk down the gravel. Leah says, why would I have them come casual and comfortable if I had to dress up and sit through all their uncomfortable lunches? And they are all pissed. Michelle Bernstein is a James Beard award-winning organic chef. I think I've seen her on Top Chef before. They're going to have a cocktail, and then they're going to harvest flowers and make this big, beautiful salad. Everyone is so hot. They're talking about the mosquitoes. They're fanning themselves. Alexia says, it was an awful joke, and no one likes that. Everyone was hot, and it was full of mosquitoes. They end up eating a clitora flower, and that's what it's called, and they said it's sweet like honeysuckle. And Larsa is saying, it's annoying, it's too much work. Everything about Larsa is annoying. So they end up sitting around eating, and Larsa is nonstop complaining about, she's just overreacting. She's complaining about everything, which is kind of funny because Leah was nonstop complaining at Alexia's dinner because she didn't like that they were roasting a pig. So then Larsa says, you guys can come over to my house. I'll cook for you. And Marisol says, can I bring my mom? Just teasing around. And Larsa says, no. You know why? My mom will be there, and she's an even bigger bitch than yours. Oh, can you imagine? Marisol is everybody's shocked. And Marisol says, when Larsa used the B word to describe my mother, it was a dagger. You don't talk about an older woman like that. Cristy says, I love Larsa, but she reacts fast, and I wouldn't use the B word about anybody's mom. Whew, they thank Leah, and that is how the episode ends. Then we see the end credits here. So first up is Cristy. It says, Cristy keeps her options open with her kids, her business, and her love life. Attending Leah's next gala is not an option. Larsa's in Chicago while Scotty works for the Bulls. Her Florida house awaits. Her nannies, not so much. So again, nothing going on with Larsa except for they have to point out her bitchiness. Alexia is going to take Venue National right after Peter's new photo shoot and Frankie's basketball game. Leah's already working the BlackBerry. Her next gala promises to be bigger than the last, and so will her security. Pretty good. Marisol and Philippe seriously talk about adopting a child between client meetings. Elsa is not feeling the grandma vibe. Adriana got private school covered and got a ring from Frederic. She's running late for everything else. I really wish they had had a reunion for this. I would have loved to see them talk out some of this stuff, especially the Larsa stuff and just some of the other stuff. I wish they had talked it out, but oh well, this is what we have. I love this season. Love talking about Real Housewives of Miami. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. I'm going to keep going. I'm enjoying watching it. It's been so much fun, and we'll go right into season 2. So let's get into that. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave me comments below. Let me know your thoughts, and I hope you guys have a fantastic week. Take care of yourself. Stay safe. Bye-bye.